Hi everyone, my name is Blair Gardner and I'm here today to give a presentation on off-site and lone worker safety. As you know, our agency at Smith & Jones Real Estate has recently merged with Greengrass Agency. Because of that, new safety concerns have been identified, especially around the off-site and lone worker safety. So I'm going to talk for about 10 minutes today, and then at the end I'll be free to answer any questions that you have. I'd like to discuss 5 main topics. Those topics are going to be WH legislation in New South Wales, commitment to ethical standards with 3 examples, agency organisation and how safety responsibilities are presented. I'll give you 3 examples of risks and the safety measures that we're going to put in place to try and mitigate those risks, and how staff are going to be involved and how we're going to try and collect feedback from you. So it's important that we always comply with legislation. If we don't, fines and loss of license could happen to our agency and our staff. This legislation is in place to make sure that we're safe in the workplace. And we are governed by Safe Work Australia, and they establish policy and procedures in the WH&S field and make improvements predominantly protecting us at work. So the main legislation that we work under is the Work Health and Safety Act in 2011. And then there's also the Work Health and Safety Regulation in 2017. And then we have our own internal and external codes of conduct that we must adhere to. Some of the other policies and legislation that also might come into play throughout our safety controls are Fair Work Act 2009, Privacy Act in 1998, Prosecution Guidelines, National Compliance and Enforcement Policy, New South Wales Workers' Compensation Scheme, and CIRA, which is the State Insurance Regulatory Authority. Ethical standards. So, of course, as real estate agents, our main goal is to make money, is to support our clients, that we work really hard to get them the best possible deals and really support the people that we represent. Although internally, I still want to make sure that we're complying with ethical standards and we're doing right by our staff. That's why we've implemented 3 new type of systems to comply with our ethical standards. So the first one is going to be training. We're going to up our training to a monthly training scheme. And this will take place in a couple of different ways. It can be virtual via, online learning. It can be educational. We're going to set up some different platforms and different quizzes and courses that you can complete. And of course, there's going to be face-to-face learning. So you're always kind of getting something new as our landscape is always changing as well, of course. We're going to have some new policies in place. For example, from now on, it will be a 2-person rule when we're attending appraisals that we haven't been to before. And thirdly, we're going to update our emergency planning. After hours contact details will be distributed. You can have an emergency contact as well in case something happens to you and we need to maybe contact a member of your family. The main way how safety is going to be represented in our organization is going to be through a structured hierarchy. We're first going to elect a new HRS, which is our Health and Safety Representative. They're going to take the lead for everything health and safety. They'll investigate risks and complaints as they're brought forward, and they'll represent employees who want to raise issues and are maybe afraid to speak up. They'll provide some personal WH&S advice on a more individual level, and they'll create some internal policies to us. Now, our HSR will be supported by our WH&S committee. The WH&S committee will be made up of a range of existing staff and the new staff to make sure that the rural areas are also very well represented. They'll discuss and troubleshoot current OH&S concerns and WH&S concerns. They'll provide feedback and assistance to the HSR. They'll implement and coordinate policy and procedure, and they'll assist with training activity and training needs. Of course, on the ground level, everyone is responsible for health and safety, but in terms of the creation of the policies, that will start on ground level, then it will go up to our committee, and that will be headed by the HRNS. So now that we're operating in a more rural environment, we've certainly identified a couple of new risks that we'll need to address. So I'm going to give you 3 examples of those type of risks. One of the first risks that we identified is traveling to areas with poor reception. We're going to be out in more country areas, and a lot of the time reception is going to be unreliable, or there might be black spots where you're not going to be able to be contacted at all. So we're going to supply a signal booster as a safety control measure for our mobile phones. So we're in contact now with different service providers, and we're going to have them send out to us a map of some of the black spot locations around the areas that we're going to cover. That way, if you know you're going into a black spot location, you can just call ahead to your manager and let them know that you're going into a black spot location. And then once you come back out, let us know that everything is all good. Next one is areas with dangerous animals or heavy machinery. We're going to be going to a lot of areas where there's going to be livestock or tractors or things like that. So if you feel comfortable and it is safe to do so, you can still go to those and go inside those areas. But if it's not safe to do so, you can simply take out your agency phone and take a video. Then we will bring that recording to our media team, and they'll be able to edit a video package to show that area to our clients. And number 3, we're certainly going to have some muddy and slippery terrains out there in more bush-related areas when it does start raining. So we're going to have some PPE that's going to be issued, such as gumboots, so you'll be able to still go out in the field and not get your shoes too dirty and not be slipping around as you're doing your thing. And staff involvement. We definitely want to get everyone as involved as we can with safety. We're now quite a large organization. We've got about 25 staff members. So it's important that if anyone does identify a safety concern or notice that something isn't right, that you certainly come forward and let us know. Ways that you can do that, we're going to be making an anonymous suggestion box for feedback. So if you're not comfortable in speaking about something in person, you can just pop your suggestion in that suggestion box. During our monthly training activities, we'll also ask for your feedback and your concerns at the end of the training, which will be a great time to give us some feedback. There's also going to be a new email address for the HRS committee. So any questions and concerns that you have can be directed straight to that email address, and then everyone on that committee can straight away see your concerns. And of course, you can come see the HSR or the committee or anyone that you feel is necessary at any time to raise your safety concerns. And obviously, if it is something super important, you need to do that immediately, and then we'll take the necessary next steps. Okay, now I'll have any questions that you have, and I'll do my best to answer those questions. Thanks for listening.